Hello, and in this video I will teach you how to create your own functions in Python. So a function in Python is something that typically takes in an input and produces an output, or at least runs, or at least does something. So in this case, print is a function name, followed by the parentheses with the input inside. When we run the code, it does something. It prints whatever we told it to print. Same with another function would be length. This takes in an input and produces an output, which is the length of the input. Now to create your function, you start by typing def, short for define. So this lets Python know that you want to define a function. Then your function name. So we're going to make a simple addition function. So let's just call it addition, parentheses next, then a colon. Now inside the parentheses, you'll be putting in the inputs you want your function to take in. Now these, you can have as many inputs as you want, 0, 1, 2, 3, or more. We'll have 2 for this one. We'll call them num1 and num2. Obviously you can call them anything. These are like variables. Now let's just define a variable sum. It's the sum of the two inputs. And now that we're done with the function, we want to produce an output. And the way to do that is you type return, and then you return whatever output you want your function to return. So now this function should work. Let's try it out. Print addition, and we'll do 2 and 3. So that should give us 5, which it does, as you can see right here. So those are some basics. Just a couple more things I want to go over. When you return something, the function stops. The function will no longer run. Nothing else will happen. So for example, if we have something like this, if sum is greater than 5, return sum, and then we'll have some extra code down here. So sum, let's just say plus equals 1. So we'll add 1 to sum, and then we'll return sum. Okay, and we'll just print something just to show that this code is being executed, just to make it more clear. So now let's try this out. Print addition 3, 3. Now 3 plus 3 is 6, greater than 5. So we should return the sum right away. Yeah. And as you'll notice, because we returned the sum, none of this code executed. Whereas if our initial sum is less than 5, or less than or equal to 5, you'll see that this isn't true, so we skip that. We add 1 to sum, so now our sum is 5. We print hello and we return sum. So because obviously we didn't return here, we keep going with the code until we return it here. One more thing with functions, you can have other, I don't know the correct terminology for this, but you can have inputs that are that have it like a default. So let's say num3, and this defaults to 3. So to show that, we have the name, of course, like usual, but then we have an equal sign and whatever we want it to default to. So now by default, the third input is a 3. So what this means, let's add num3, and we'll return sum like normal. This means that, let's run the code. You'll see we get 7. So you'll notice we did not add a third input. And the reason our code still works, because obviously if you'll see missing one requirement, positional argument num2, we didn't give it enough inputs. The reason our code still works with 2 inputs is because this is optional. It defaults to 3 if you don't specify what it should be. We can, of course, specify it as something else. So in this case, we're saying num3 should be 7. Now you'll notice num3 is indeed 7. So that's how that works. This is like how you can create an optional input. One thing to note, whenever you're creating these optional inputs, make sure they're at the very end. As you can see, non-default argument follows default argument. So they're saying this argument, which doesn't have, isn't set to a default number or a default value, is coming after this. So that's why we're getting the error. An example of this default argument function is with the range function in Python. If you do not know, it typically requires one input, 4, but it has two optional inputs, which we won't go over what they do in this video because I've already done that in another video. But it has some optional inputs as well. So 1 required, but 2 default. Or yeah, 2 default, as in you can choose to set them to something else if you want. Now that's all I have for this video. Thank you for watching, and please leave any feedback or comments, feedback or questions in the comment section. Thank you.